Welcome back to Visual Brain. Today, we're diving deep into the very fabric of our dreams, to a place where our consciousness might not be at the top of the food chain. We're breaking down a really fascinating and honestly pretty unsettling story from Carlos Castaneda's The Art of Dreaming.
Okay, let's get into it. We usually think of dreams as being super personal, right? Just a landscape built from our own memories, our own anxieties. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if dreams are also a doorway, a place where our awareness is actively looking for, well, other awareness? And that is exactly the threshold where our story begins.
Now, the guy telling this story didn't start out as a believer, not even close. He went into this whole thing with a big dose of skepticism, deciding to run what he called an objective inquiry. He wasn't looking for magic or anything like that. He was looking for cold, hard proof, for patterns and all the weird stuff that kept happening in his dreams.
And the very first pattern he locked onto was the appearance of something he learned was called a scout. Just think of it like a glitch in the matrix of your dream. It's this sudden blast of foreign energy, something so out of place, so fundamentally weird, that it just grabs your dreaming attention and refuses to let go. It's the signal that a door just creaked open.
So what does a scout actually look like? Well, they are just deeply, profoundly bizarre. Like, you might see a walking stick made of this impossibly tough metal that just melts into a puddle of green water. Or maybe you'd see a fish leap out of a pond, grow wings, fly like a bird, and then land on a tree branch. See, these aren't just random dream things. Their total weirdness is like a calling card, a sign of energy from somewhere else.
So here's the really crucial part. Once you spot a scout, you don't just watch it. According to these ancient sorcerers who first mapped out these worlds, there's a very specific thing you're supposed to do next. You can actually follow it.
And here's how you do it. It's basically a three-step process. First, you just lock your dreaming attention onto that totally bizarre object. Then you literally shout out that you intend to follow it, to go where it goes. The second our narrator did this, he said he felt himself get pulled by that energy, just launched through this dark tunnel-like space, and then shot out into a whole other world.
And wow, what a world it was. He found himself in this alien landscape he described as being like a giant, porous, cavernous sponge. It was huge, dark, and completely still. This wasn't one of those shifty dreamscapes that keeps changing. This was a solid, consistent place. And yeah, it was inhabited. He pretty quickly figured out that this world was home to two totally different kinds of inorganic beings. The first kind, the tunnels, they are the environment itself, a huge stationary consciousness. The second, the shadows, are these mobile beings that get their energy from the tunnels and pretty much do their bidding. It's like this symbiotic and totally alien ecosystem made of pure awareness. His guide in this crazy world was this disembodied voice, a being that called itself a dreaming emissary. It was this emissary that laid out the whole situation for him, acting as a translator and his only source of info, in a realm that was just way beyond human understanding.
Okay, so this is the part of the story where everything shifts. The whole journey starts out as this wide-eyed discovery, right? But then this sense of dread slowly starts to creep in. The narrator begins to suspect that this world, and the things living in it, have some kind of hidden agenda.
And that leads him to the big question. I mean, if this isn't just some crazy dream, if these beings are actually real, what do they want? Why in the world are they so interested in some human dreamer? The answer, which comes from his mentor, Don Juan, is absolutely chilling. These beings, they aren't friendly guides. They're predators. And what they're hunting, their prey, is our awareness. They're like fishermen, and our consciousness is the prize they're after. So, how does a fisherman catch his prey? With the perfect bait. The inorganic beings showed our narrator a vision of another being they'd trapped, this beautiful blue blob of pure conscious energy. But to make the trap impossible to resist, they threw an image over it, making it look like a helpless, terrified little girl. It was perfectly designed to trigger a powerful, protective, emotional reaction. And the trap worked perfectly. He completely believed he was rescuing a child, and he walked right into their ambush. This wasn't just a nightmare anymore. It was a full-on abduction. Here's exactly how it went down. The trigger was his emotion. He poured all of his energy, all of his will, into this heroic act of trying to free the little girl. And that powerful, unchecked burst of feeling? That was the exact signal these beings were waiting for. That huge surge of emotional energy basically allowed the inorganic beings to latch onto him,
They consumed what the book calls his energy body, which means they essentially drained his life force and cut the connection between his mind and his physical self.
And this is where it gets truly terrifying. Once his energy body was gone, his physical body was just inert matter. And the combined awareness of all those inorganic beings was then able to pull his actual physical self right through the dream gateway and into their world. For the very first time, he saw their universe not through the lens of a dream, but with his own physical eyes. And what he saw was a world just covered in this thick, yellow fog. I mean, can you imagine waking up from a dream to find yourself physically inside that dream world? It completely shatters everything we think we know about reality.
He was eventually rescued, but the whole experience left him totally shaken. The objective inquiry was definitely over. And in its place was this sobering first-hand knowledge of a terrifying truth about the universe and, our place in it.
So this experience reveals the main lesson here. We might not live in a friendly universe, but in a predatory one. From this perspective, consciousness isn't some sacred, protected thing. It's just a form of energy. And like any other energy, it can be hunted down and consumed by things that are way more powerful than we are.
As his mentor puts it so bluntly, the abduction happened for one simple reason. He made himself available. In a predatory universe, drawing attention to yourself, being conspicuous, is basically like painting a target on your back. It suggests that our emotions, our very visibility in these other realms, can make us incredibly vulnerable.
And that leaves us with this really unsettling question. We all love the idea of freedom of thought, of self, of consciousness. But if our very consciousness can be stalked, baited, and trapped, what is freedom, really? Is it something we actually possess, or is it just the good luck of not being found yet?